You've heard it many times before, but it's changing. If I always do what I've always done, I'll have less than I've ever had before. Technologies are changing, industries are changing, processes are changing, and most of all, customers are changing. The way we go to market now is different from the way we've gone to market in the past. Many changes were coming over the last few years. In 2019, I put those changes in processes and tools and technology into an envelope that I call EXselling. It's called EXselling because of who does the selling. Customers now want to sell themselves. Customers want to sell themselves. And as a result of that, we have to change the way we present our products, services, ourselves, our company to our customers. The response to the pandemic of 2020 made many of the tools and processes that we have been embracing now for several years, brought them to the front where we must use them. They are no longer arbitrary. They are no longer optional. We have to learn to sell differently, primarily virtually. But here's the good news. What we are learning about being able to sell more effectively virtually will also help us when we are still selling face-to-face. The opportunities will probably come back where we can sell face-to-face, and these same tools, these same processes will be available for us at that time. The way we implement these tools is something called VIVA, Virtual Interactive Value-Added Selling. There is also virtual interactive value-added customer service, as well as virtual interactive value-added leadership. In virtual interactive value-added selling, VIVA selling, we understand that we're going to be selling virtually. And as a result of that, some things must change. The principles of sales rarely change. Processes change more frequently, and techniques in sales are pretty much useless now for a number of reasons. I illustrate the principles of sales using Chuckisms. Chuckism number 6 says, in the history of recorded time, no customer has ever said your price is too high and meant it. When the customer raises the price objection, which happens on almost every sales call, they are not raising a price objection. What they are saying is one of a number of different things. You haven't shown me the value. I don't think my problem is as expensive as your solution. So our job, our role as sales professionals is to teach. Another Chuckism, the single most important function of sales is to teach. Another, the single most important function of management is to teach. It's not our job to cajole or trick the customer into buying. It's our job to teach the customer. When the customer knows the right thing to do, the customer will do the right thing. How do they learn the right thing to do? They are taught, and that's our role as salespeople. However, selling virtually or teaching virtually has changed because we lose some of the dynamics. Very quickly, list the 5 senses. What are the 5 senses? Most people can think of 3 immediately, the 4th one comes, and then the 5th one takes a few moments. That's just the way our minds work. Customers are human, we are human. That's a mind-to-mind endeavor when we are selling to the customer. Well, how many of the 5 senses could you possibly use on a face-to-face call? Probably all 5. With some pre-call planning and some tools, you could do all 5. You could use all 5. On a phone call, you can only have one, and that's sound, our ability to speak and our ability to hear. But on a virtual call like this, where we are using video, could we have 3? Obviously, we have sound, and we have visual, we have sight, but how could we add a 3rd sense to a virtual sales call? Well, the 3rd sense that we can add is one called touch, and that's where interaction comes in. Our ability to cause the customer to interact with us. So when we are engaging the customer virtually, we want to have the tools at our disposal that we can use to allow the customer to interact. VIVA, Virtual Interactive Value-Added Selling. The response to COVID-19 may have been the best thing to happen to professional selling in a long time because it forced us to begin using many of the technological tools and many of the new sales processes that we should have been using all along. It capitalizes on existing trends, and here's an example. One of the reasons customers want to sell themselves is Amazon.com. Could you possibly call on a customer or prospect who's never been to Amazon? Well, who are the salespeople at Amazon? They're the buyers. We go to Amazon.com, we type in the window what we are looking for, and Amazon doesn't say take it or leave it. They present a number of alternatives. Either knowingly or unknowingly, we begin doing a feature-benefit analysis. We start looking at the different options and deciding which one is best for us. Knowingly or unknowingly, we do a cost justification. There are two here. They're very similar. This one costs a little bit more. Why should I buy the one that costs a little bit more? We actually do a cost justification. We also reveal, knowingly or unknowingly, what our buying motivation is. Here's the one that I really want. It takes a week. Here's my second alternative. I can have it this afternoon or tomorrow morning. So if I want it immediately, I'm buying out of need, because when people buy out of need, there's a sense of urgency. When people are buying out of want, they'll delay the gratification. Do you see why buyers now would rather sell themselves than have a salesperson sell them? But it's important for us as sales professionals to be able to present our product, our service, our company, ourselves to the customer in a way that they will choose us over someone else, even when our price is higher, even when the competition may have an edge in one area or another. So Viva, virtual, interactive, value-added selling, and all of the EXselling tools and processes reward those people who are flexible, those companies that are flexible. And how can we go about embracing technology now even better than we have before? So the Chuckisms that we're going to build on right now, one is most buyers are better at buying than salespeople are at selling. Most buyers are better at buying than salespeople are at selling. Think about it. A buyer may make several purchases a day where a salesperson may only make a few sales calls a day. So the buyers are picking up on what we are able to do. If we try to use a technique, they've seen it before, they know what to do with it. That's why techniques don't work any longer. And here's another Chuckism. Many buyers today are actually better at selling than salespeople are. Many buyers are better at selling than salespeople are. So the new role in EXselling is to help the customer sell themselves rather than us trying to convince the customer to buy something they may or may not know that they want or need. Now here's the background. Principles rarely change. Think of principles as a rock wall. A rock wall will be around for a long time. There are some in Europe that have been around for centuries. On top of the rock wall, there's a wooden fence. Those are processes. And over time, they get old, they get replaced. They're not as viable as they used to be. So processes need to be updated and changed on a regular basis. And then above that wooden fence, think of a string of balloons. Those are techniques. They deflate. They can be easily dealt with. That's why we don't use techniques any longer. So how do we go about embracing EXselling and the processes inside of EXselling in order to accelerate our sales? The first one we're going to look at, the first process inside of EXselling, is something called blended selling. Blended selling. Blended selling builds off of a concept called blended learning. The way you and I choose to learn today is wide open. We can learn from books, as we always have. We can go to the classroom and learn like we did in the past. We can take seminars, we can go to YouTube. There's all kinds of opportunities for learning. There's audio, video. So what we want to look at is how do we develop the tools that will allow our sales professionals to be top of class when selling virtually. You see, the best product doesn't necessarily win. The best service doesn't necessarily win. The best company doesn't win, and the best salesperson doesn't win. The best story wins. And being able to tell a more convincing story virtually can give us the opportunity and the capability to tell a better story when we are face to face with the customer. In blended selling, there is a library of interactive tools, a library of interactive tools, which means we present the tool and allow the customer to operate it. If you've ever been to the Apple store, you know that they don't touch your computer, they tell you how to do it. Muscle memory, interaction increases learning. So there are interactive PowerPoints. When I'm selling face-to-face with a customer or presenting in a small conference room, I bring a slide up, and the slide has multiple icons on it, and I hand the remote or the clicker to someone in the audience. Here are 6 topics we're going to address today. Which one would you like to address first? When I'm selling to a client, those icons might be quality, productivity, profitability, and I watch which one they click first, and that tells me what's most important to them. And then the slides that are behind that icon appear, and we're able to talk through them. So they're interactive PowerPoints. They're interactive videos where the video is playing and it stops and presents a menu, and the viewer clicks on something and the video continues in that particular area. They're interactive PDFs. They're interactive Word documents. And we also have other interactive tools. We can have links. Do your salespeople have access to numerous links to pages on your website or other devices that are online, where instead of having to write something out, when the customer says, how does your product compare to this product, instead of having to remember what we learned in product school and try to remember what we've learned in our soft skills training, we simply embed a link in the email or in the letter. And the customer is able to go there and get a multimedia presentation that answers their question. Certainly that's going to be better than what we could think of on the fly. Text is being changed. The ability to use text and use it more productively and more proficiently is skyrocketing. There's audio. Did you know that most cars today still have a CD player? What if you sent your customer a CD and said, would you play this on the way to work tomorrow, on your way home today? You have the customer's attention at a time when no other competitor does. Or you could send them an MP3. And during the day, when they're starting their day, when they're opening their mail, you could be talking to them and giving them some valuable information. There are calculators and configurators now that blow my mind. My clients are coming up with tools that do a qualified and quantified cost justification based on input from the customer. We allow the customer to operate the tool, and they sell themselves based on the ROI, based on the manpower savings, based on other factors. So there's blended selling by coming up with all these interactive tools. Another one is something called supply chain selling. Supply chain selling is when we understand in a B2B world, we don't sell to, we sell through. We don't sell to, we sell through. Think about it. You have vendors that supply you, and you use their resources to supply your customer. And we try to sell to the customer. In a B2B world, does the customer buy our product or service and keep it? Or do they use it to serve their customers? Supply chain selling means we don't sell to the customer, we sell through them. What could we be doing to help our customers sell more? What could we be doing to help make our customers more successful? Then we look at our customers' other vendors. Maybe we could partner with a vendor, and instead of us sending a part and the other vendor sending a part, we could have an assembly go to the customer based on our relationship with their other vendor. There are a lot of different ways of looking at this, and then when we have a relationship with some of our customers' vendors, not our competitors of course, but our customers' other vendors, we can sell to their customers. We do supply chain selling, selling through our customers, other vendors, to their customers. Supply chain selling is getting hot right now, and it's easier to cost justify than many of the others. There's the power of 3, using the number 3, the magic number in sales, to offer a customer, for instance, 3 alternatives, small, medium, and large. More than 80% will buy the medium. Giving a customer 3 alternatives. Instead of us or them, we start thinking about what is that third alternative. There is collaborative selling. It builds on the Chuckism that says there are 2 kinds of people in the world, those that know they're in sales and those that don't. Why don't we involve other people in our organization helping us sell more effectively to our next customer, our next contact. Collaborative selling, using all of the resources that our company has to offer. The principles are not changing, the processes are, and the big one is Viva, virtual, interactive, value-added selling. It is a powerful concept. There are many tools and processes inside of it, and once you start selling this way, what you will find is, even in a face-to-face call, you can be significantly more effective. You see, Viva is all about performance. Viva is all about performance. Viva is all about execution. We take all these tools that we have now and all of your expertise, capabilities, education, what you've learned, and now we execute virtually or face-to-face, but virtually more effectively than anyone else. Our story wins. There's one more aspect of sales, and that is Kaizen for sales, building on the principles of Lean or Kaizen, and being able to make sales calls that are better, faster, and at a lower cost. Better, faster, and at a lower cost. Think about it. Why has virtual selling caught on? Lower cost, but there's no travel cost. Better, we can do some things better, assuming we're doing things right on a virtual call, and there's a lot of ways to do them wrong. Better, faster, and at a lower cost. Faster. Did you ever have a face-to-face call and you showed up and the customer at the last minute said, I know I promised you an hour, some things have come up, you've got 15 minutes? Or you're on your way to a sales call and the customer calls and says, I have to cancel? It's easy to reschedule a virtual call, but not a face-to-face call. Sales is changing. It's changing dramatically. At EXselling, we're keeping up with it. We're adding new processes regularly. I want you to think about embracing what you're able to do now virtually rather than using the traditional methods. Single most important function of sales is to teach others.